What? Oh, God. Wow. We're leaving that in.
He's
What's
back,
up, everybody?
folks.
Welcome back to the Hardcover Hooligans podcast. My name is Mac. As always, with me is Danilo. Danilo, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
If you could forge some sort of creature out of magic stone, what creature would you forge?
Now, if I didn't have to like self-annihilate in order to forge this creature,
Well, I didn't say that. But...
I think it'd be cool to have like a magical whale.
Oh, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, and you
With
could like
magical
sail.
blowhole.
Yep. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there'd be a magical blowhole.
Yeah. So if you couldn't tell, we're
What about you,
finishing.
Meg?
Oh, I would do. I mean, dragon's pretty fucking sweet.
Okay.
Dragon's sweet. I mean, that's just good stuff. But I would do a wyvern. So not
no legs.
4 legs. Yeah, just the back legs. So if you couldn't tell, we are finishing. This is it. The Farseer trilogy is over after this. Nobody is talking about it ever again anywhere. This Danilo, what are your thoughts on the ending here?
I have to say, in terms of this book and the trilogy,
Yeah.
this is one of the best stories I've ever read.
Yeah.
I think it is
so.
absolutely incredible. I think she absolutely nailed the landing. I would, and there's been we'll talk about the various criticisms of the ending or ways that people do not like it. I think maybe I would say, like, not every book is perfect. If I had to give some caveats, I'd say there's a couple moments that you're like, okay, come on. And maybe I see the argument saying that it's maybe a little rushed or the pacing is off. I personally did not really feel that at all. I don't know if you did at all. I can see how if you are expecting a Sanderlanche, then maybe it feels rushed, because I think certain people who read books really do like read them very quickly, almost skim reading them, which I see if you're reading at that pace why this ending would feel rushed, because a lot happens right at the end. But like I read this ending in like a couple chunks, and even like I'd end a chapter and I'd be like, I gotta like let that bake for a bit, and I either keep reading later that day or like wait until the next day. And I think if you're reading this book and getting to the end, like I would recommend that rather than trying to like speed through the end, because then maybe it feels rushed. But I thought all in all, it was fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better ending or more satisfying ending to a book or a series, which is not a common opinion. But I also think if you made it this far in the trilogy, you sort of know what these books are. Although it's a lot of 1-star Goodreads people seem to not have understood what the books are.
Well, I'm excited to get into that,
which is great.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is really good stuff. This is like perfect for me.
Instant classic. I don't know why people don't read this more. I also kind of do, but because it's like, it's not challenging, but it's like, it's not what you want it to be. I don't know. It's not wish fulfillment. It's not fantasy wish fulfillment. And I think there's a large swath of genre fiction that is like escapism, wish fulfillment, and they don't want anything else.
If I didn't know any better and I picked up the first book and I just read the back, I would have never
same.
read this. And I don't know who wrote that summary, but they give a false impression of what this book actually is.
And I think people who read the summary and want to read it based on the summary will then be disappointed that it's not what it seems like. Whereas, like, if we read
everybody loses.
If it was what it seemed like, we wouldn't read it, but we have and we love it. But like people who want like sort of a standard 90s fantasy wish fulfillment hero's journey story, they don't get that at all. They in fact get the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Where a bunch of bad things happens to a poor boy and then it's done.
Yeah. So let's get into it, huh?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what happens.
Yeah.
So like we said last time, Verity, he's
gone crazy.
He's making a dragon, and it's like, well, why the fuck? What is that? Like, I don't understand what is going on. I don't get any of this. And Kettle is like, okay, I'll tell you.
It's her big moment. Kettle's the old woman who was traveling with them.
And she reveals that she is the last surviving member of the last, like, when coteries were coteries, you know, and coteries
make coteries great again.
Yeah, coteries are like a group of magic skill users, and in the kingdom's past, well, I guess it's been the same kingdom, but like in charge of other kings in the past, they were used to great effect as like weapons or tools of trade and of war, and it's like a council of wizards. Think about it. Like that.
And they can all and they have a special bond that they all share because of the skill. Like they can get each other's brains, and like it's more because in the previous books, like Galen was trying to create a coterie, but like all he did was like they can send messages to each other. But like the real coteries were like they were like Avengers wizards. Like they could really fuck shit up.
Fuck around. And so she's the last surviving member of the last real coterie, and she
Queen Diligence.
Queen Diligence, and she was excommunicated from the group because she killed a fellow coterie member with the skill over
her sister.
Yeah, her sister over a man, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, Queen Diligence was like, Fitz is like, wasn't Queen Diligence like 200 years ago? And Kettle's like, yes, I am very old. Yeah. And I look pretty good, don't I? Huh?
And she's like, he's trying to make the dragon turn alive, and he needs to put like everything of himself into that dragon. And it is very clear that through helping you out of all your jams and killing that guy, there's no more. He can't put anything else into that dragon.
Well, and earlier, like when no one knows what's going on, but Kettle, every time Fitz tells Kettle what Verity's up to, Kettle's like, he's doing it by himself. Oh my god. Yeah. And you don't really know what she means until they're here.
And she says that in the past when they've done this, the whole coterie travels up the skill road and makes the dragon.
Right. And then puts all of themselves into it, and like that way it's doable. Like it's still hard, but it's doable.
Right. The reason nobody's ever come back is because either they die on the road or they all end up in the spirit of this creature that they create. Yeah, to get the kingdom out of a jam, which is how it's been happening for hundreds and hundreds of years. This is what happens.
And it's like everyone who joins a coterie knows that like when it's time to do this
is the point of the coterie.
Yeah, this is the thing. So everyone goes and they put all their memories and thoughts and feelings and life into this dragon, and they all like self-annihilate into this dragon. And then it becomes alive and it becomes its own creature.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And that's what Verity is trying to do. That's why he seems so crazy and vacant and can't remember things, because he keeps putting memories and all his memories and feelings into this dragon. And so like all his like love for Ketrican is in there, his like memories of his childhood and his like devotion to his kingdom. That's why he seems like he has like dementia. He doesn't like recognize them.
And so Fitz is like, well, I can be like Kettle can help, and I can be like I can help too. But Fitz is like, well,
Verity's like, no, Fitz, you're not doing this.
I'm gonna kill you. Like he's like, no, you can take my powers like we've done before and put them into the dragon. And Verity's like, no, you'll die. Absolutely not. But Kettle can help, and so Kettle does. And together,
but Kettle has had the skill burned out of her because of what she did.
Right.
And so there's a whole ceremony where Fitz like helps Kettle get her skill back, which is actually a really beautiful moment because you don't know anything about Kettle, but then you realize she like killed her sister out of jealousy because she like slept with like another coterie member that Kettle was in love with, and then she also never forgave herself for killing her sister, and the rest of the coterie members like burned the skill out of her as punishment. But she's also like built these walls around her skill, and like Fitz helps her like forgive herself, and it's like this crazy like beautiful character moment for this one character we just met in like the last 100 pages has this like full journey of self-actualization, which
it's awesome.
Is sort of what the skill is.
Yeah, we'll and later. So she gets her mojo back, and they start making the dragon, and Fitz is like, well, we're here. And so they just sort of lounge around in the in the quarry, but the fool has found a dragon of his own. Danila, do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So last time we talked, they walked past. They call it "Girl on Dragon."
Yeah,
and it's like a
very still life of woodpecker. I like
yeah.
Girl on Dragon.
And it is a completely frozen dragon statue. It looks fully carved and complete, but out of the body is like half of a woman, and her face is like permanently frozen in the shape of a scream. And the fool is skill sensitive, so he's like he feels a lot of
because
like pity.
because of the dream or whatever.
Right, because they're like skill, because Fitz is like skill bonded. And so he's like spending a bunch of time with this screaming lady dragon hybrid. He like feels bad for her because like she's obviously in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And doesn't Kettle explain why she is like that? She's like,
yeah,
so
she does.
So that was someone, I don't remember her name.
Yeah.
And she tried to like keep her personhood or her selfhood separate from the dragon when it was trying to be formed, and like now she's cursed for eternity to be in total pain and frozen like this, and no dragon, no person. And the fool's like, "Aw, I'm gonna spend time with her, try to wake her up and make her feel better."
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "You're crazy, fool."
How does the fool end up waking that dragon?
So I think what happens is, so Verity, he dipped his hands in the skill river, so he has these silver hands. He can't touch anyone, because if he touches them, he like accidentally touches the fool or something, and the fool like almost goes into,
the fool touches his hand, and so it's on his hand.
It goes into like a skill coma, and so now the fool has like one silver fingertip or something.
Yeah.
And so he can like, that gives you like super skill sensitivity. And Verity's like, yeah, if I touch any of you with this, you will go crazy, because like Fitz like starts feeling the emotions of wood by like touching wood with like his one silver finger.
But
Verity's like, I'm handling this like a champ. Like I can do this, because he's a fucking badass.
And so Fitz Fitz is like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna go like exploring. And he touches the thing to go back to the quarry, and there's a bunch of bad dudes there. And Fitz is like, oh shit, there's bad dudes here. So he's sneaking around. He's like playing a video game. He's like sneaking around. He like tries to like light a fire to distract them so he can go back and tell Verity that there's bad guys. But then the fire, it's a very funny moment. The fire casts a bunch of light, and then the guys look over and is like, there's a dude standing right there.
Well, I think the reason he's in the garden is because Verity...
Oh, Verity's like, go try to wake him up.
gives him a task, like, go. So
he just wants to get
him
away.
You're not doing anything. Go try to wake up all those elderlings and see if you can do anything about that.
And so he can't, obviously. And then he's getting chased by one of the guards, and the guards trips and falls and gores himself on the tusk of a boar and dies.
A boar statue.
That wakes up the boar.
Or like there's a bit of a tremble.
Or it starts to.
It feels something. Yeah.
And he's like, oh my god, it needs like life force.
Yeah.
And so he's about to escape, and then fucking Prince Verity bursts through.
This is incredible. I love it.
It's awesome. Prince Verity bursts through, and he starts like whooping ass.
And then you keep going.
No. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say there's like, because Fitz is writing this in the past tense, and he like has like, I'll always remember Verity when he came out of that pillar, because he looked like half crazed. He looked like a demon, is what he said. Like he looks half crazed. He looks old, and he has like these silver arms, and he's like holding a sword, and he cuts one of Regal's guy's arms, and the guy's like, Prince Verity, holy shit! And then Prince Verity's like, I see you, and then he
that's right, I forgot. He lets that guy go.
He says his name, and he lets him go. He's like, tell him Verity is alive.
Yeah, like, oh shit.
That was fucking badass.
And Fitz calls out to the dragons doused in the blood do respond to the wit, and he like can communicate with them.
Yeah, and Verity's like, I sent you on a goofy errand, didn't think you could do it, but hey, you did it, because I was off taking Kettle to the Skill River, and I knew that if you
you were gonna be upset about that.
You were gonna try to go, so I had to send you on a dumb
Fitz
errand.
Is pissed. And then Chivalry's like, well, there is actually one thing you could do for me, and they switch
Or Verity.
bodies.
I think you said
Yeah.
chivalry.
Verity. Yeah, Verity and Fitz switch bodies so that Prince
they
Verity
make a
can
deal.
have. Yeah, so Prince Verity can have one last night of passion with Kettle, or with Prince Kettricken.
Yeah, this is fucked up.
Yeah, it is. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So the deal, like, it's like the eve before, like, the, several days pass or whatever, and the dragon's almost done.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out, like, Kettricken still needs, like, an heir. They need a bang. But Verity is, like, too old and has these silver arms, and there's no way that he could do it without, like, touching her or whatever.
And he needs one more, like, big piece of emotion to put into the...
Yes, yeah. And so Verity's like, okay, I will let you Skype in to see Molly and Burrick one last time. If little nephew, you do me one more solid.
And you double team my wife with me.
And so they switch bodies so that, and you don't, the way it's written, you like,
yeah,
don't
I know, you don't
know
tell
what's
right
happening.
away.
It's so good. Cause he's like, they like talk, and then Fitz says like, and then Verity took my life from me. And then you're like, what does that mean? And the next section, he's like, oh, I remember feeling like an old man before. Like, this is very similar to me. And you're like, is he
And I
dreaming or
thought this
something?
was it. I was like, oh, this is why Fitz, when he's writing the story, is so old and messed up. Is because he's in Prince Verity's old, messed up body. But then at the end, I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's because he's been shot with an arrow and stabbed and kicked and punched. He's just, like, fucked up.
But he's hot.
Yeah, he's hot, though.
Yeah, and then Verity goes in Fitz's body and bangs Kettricken. And so now they know that will be a real Farseer heir that was sired by the Farseer
Fitz's
line
strong
by
seed.
Verity. And it's really fucked up.
Yeah, it is. But there's some funny and cute moments where Kettricken has sort of a hard time looking at Fitz without blushing.
Yeah.
And Fitz is like, I don't.
Well, or, based on the earlier conversations where Kettricken's like, yeah, dude, you're hot.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone keeps telling me he's so hot. And Fitz is like trying to get, and when they switch back, Fitz is like trying to get her smell off of him. Like, it's so creepy and weird. Ugh.
And so he finally has enough power, and they are at the dragon, and they say their goodbyes. It's all very sad and very...
Well, they Skype into Molly and Burrick first.
Oh, I don't remember this.
No? This is when we find out what happens with Molly and Burrick.
Oh, really? I thought... Oh,
because
I don't remember.
Yeah, because I think Verity
lets him see.
Verity helps him. Like, that's... Because then he's there when he makes that realization. Like, Verity's with him when he sees that whole scene play out. So...
Oh, where he gets... where the bad guys show up at their door?
No, like the final thing with Molly.
What happens earlier? I think we forgot to say... We forgot to say this. He has a vision earlier in the previous
Verity's
part.
There for him. It's part of the
where
bodies.
They have a vision of like the evil Regal's guards show up, and they find out where Molly and Burrick are.
Oh, we have to talk about how they find out.
Oh, yeah,
like the fool. This is the one part where I'm like, oh my god.
It's one of the all three of the evil skill users, they're the same guy.
It's like Nate and then two fantasy names or whatever.
And so let's just say Nate gets the fool, and through the fool divines magically where Burrick and Molly are. And then Fitz sees like Regal's guards show up. And they're harassing... Well, I think they're just harassing Burrick, and Molly escapes out the window, and then she
just like magic. She like does the bee bluff. I forgot about this.
Yeah. So she has like a box of bees, and she's like, "Yeah, I was married to the wolf man. You think I got like the wit too?" And she lifts up this thing full of bees, and she's like, "Go get 'em, bees!" And then the bees do, and me as the reader, I'm like, "Oh shit, fucking." Molly is magic. And then they escape. Burrick and Molly escape, and Burrick's like, how'd you do that? And Molly's like, it was just luck. The bees just got the guy like screaming and waving his arms. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess. Sure.
Or it was like the bees go to the light or something, and they were standing by the fire or something.
Yeah.
Which was epic. But
it is epic. It's a good scene.
But then this is when we have the heartbreaking end of the love story. Which do you want to describe that?
No, because I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember at all?
No.
Oh my
I'm
god.
choosing
Okay. So Verity, because of the body switch, Verity lets Fitz see Molly and Burke one last time, and they see like them talking, and they're like they feel very close to each other, and
Oh,
like this
right.
kid. Yeah,
Yes.
this
How
is the
could I
big
have
part.
forgotten?
I'm like,
How could
what
I
are
have
you
forgotten?
talking about?
Yeah, Fitz gets there's never been a guy to be more cucked in this moment.
So you're getting cucked via Skype.
Yeah, by your dad.
Yeah, by your dad.
How
by
do
your
you feel,
stepdad.
how do people feel about this? Are people weirded out by this?
I think people with no media literacy think it's creepy and weird. I think
Yeah.
people with no media literacy think that like Verity and Fitch switching bodies is like his uncle sexually assaulting him. Which is, it's
I don't know
fucked up.
about
It's a
that.
fucked up situation, but it's a fantasy story. Like, I'm not gonna do it to my nephew.
No.
We'll get into that more with the criticisms
Yeah,
of this
okay.
ending. I think people don't like anything that's slightly problematic. That's not
Yeah.
immediately called out as problematic by the people in it.
So Burke and Molly, they end up together because they are
it's so
two
sad.
victims of unbelievable circumstance, and they seek solace in each other.
And Molly, and they're like, Fitz is dead. They talk about like,
They also think he's fucking dead. That's
yeah,
an
they read.
important
I
part.
read the scene last night while I was prepping, and it's Molly's like, do you still love Patience? And Burke's like, I love like my memory of her, but like she's not
man.
there anymore. And Molly's like, do you love me? And Burke's like, yes. And like he's, he'll do anything. And then Molly's like, I was like with my abusive dad, and I thought that was love, but it wasn't. And I was with Fitz, but like he's dead now, and we had some good times together, but his lies never felt like love to me. But like you're gonna like protect this baby that's not yours. Well, he said he'll lie in front of the witness stones that like this is their kid.
Yeah.
And Molly is incredibly touched by that, and then she says she like loves him too, and they end up together. There's like a very like she like puts out the candle and like goes into his arms, and Fitz is there, and he just starts
And
crying.
Verity's all like, I told you.
Verity's like,
I told you
I'm
to stop
sorry,
crying.
bud, but it's been like a year. They think you're dead.
And then after that,
Which is like, I don't know how you have like the wherewithal to like write that. Like that's incredible.
yeah, that's sort of what I meant. I wanted to like how, like, do you know when you set out this story that's how that ends?
I had a little bit of an inkling earlier.
Oh, me
Like-
too. In this book, I was like, well, they spent all
in
this time
book.
together.
Yeah,
but
I'm
not.
like, they might end
mean,
up together, but I also thought, I'm like, that's too fucked up. That's never going to happen. Like Fitz will
Yeah,
like
their
see
age
them at
just-
least
yeah.
once more, surely. But,
And I'm sure he will in later, but just like in
I
this,
don't know.
no, he's gotta. In like I have no idea what those books are about. Like
Yeah,
I don't
neither do
know
I.
if so. But I would imagine Fitz and his daughter at least meet each other, is what I would imagine.
Sure.
But so they say goodbyes. I think that's literally the last thing Verity does before he ends up being put into the dragon.
Yep.
And so he just kind of like touches the dragon and morphs into it, and then the dragon comes alive, and it like bows its head to Kettrikin. And it's obvious that like Verity's in there. It's just that the dragon doesn't have vocal cords, so it can't talk.
And Kettle's gone too. Like Kettle's in there.
Yeah, Kettle's in there too. And so Kettrikin gets on the dragon, and they fly off, and literally Fitz is like, all right, and he turns around, and like a bunch of guards with like bows and arrows like pop around the corner. And they're like, we've got you now. And it's like, well, not really. Because...
Well, and Fitz is like, we've already lost. Regal's gone, or like Verity's gone, and then he realizes, or then maybe Regal's there and does like an evil speech or something.
Yeah, but he's like, I'm just gonna do it.
Or he's like, yeah, he's gone.
He's
but
through.
look
He's
at all
talking
these
to him
other
through
dragons.
Will.
Oh, that's right. His name's not
As
Nate. His name's Will.
That's yeah. It came to me. He's like, yeah, there's a bunch of other dragons here, dumbass. We're just gonna take those and be in charge of those. And Fitz is like, well,
oh, that was your plan.
led you right to it, huh? And then, but they don't anticipate is Fitz is like, well, I did just wake up all those other dragons, and the fool's been doing his own thing with girl on dragon this whole time. And so the dragon swoops in and starts fucking shit up.
Yeah, so apparently what you need is lots of blood. And who just showed up with a bunch of disposable bad guys with swords?
Yep.
Prince Regal. And so Verity like kills a couple guys to wake up one of the other elderlings, and then the other elderlings start killing and eating people. That wakes up the other elderlings. And so now
And the
all
way
the
the book
elderlings
is
are
like,
awake.
you don't know if like they know who's good and who's bad. Like
Yeah.
they're not getting Fitz, but they are just like flying and breathing fire. And Fitz is like, "Oh my god, this is so fucking
Or
crazy."
just like chomping on people, or
Yeah.
or like
And so
stabbing
he
them with
loses
their
Will
horns.
in the scuffle, and he's like, "Oh well, Will's gone." But then he stumbles upon Will bleeding out, and he's like, "Oh!" And he grabs Will, and he's like, "See, I gotta like skill a message to Verity." And Will is like, "Okay, whatever. You do whatever you want to me. I don't care." And so he does, just to be like cool guy.
Or you mean
Fitz
to
is like-
Regal?
Yeah, to Regal.
Yeah.
He just like skills threats to Regal, and Regal's like ah, and runs away through his mind. And is this I think this is I don't know if it says this is what happens right now, but this is where Regal he like imprints on Regal.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, I think that's revealed.
It's revealed
later.
at the end, but
so-
here, what does
Yes.
he do, Danilo?
I think here, I don't remember. You should tell me because I know
Wait,
like
does
that- Go for it.
this is when he does it to Regal. It's just revealed what happens.
Oh
to
yeah,
Regal
yeah,
later.
yeah. So
He
the way
imprints
it
on
reads,
him.
he, like does something to
Yeah,
Regal,
yeah.
and then the epilogue. This is what people mean when it's unsatisfying. It's like all the elderlings come alive. Fitz is stuck in this grove that's now empty, full of dead people, while Verity and Ketchikan have
Get to do like the ending of what you would assume the main character would be doing.
Yeah, like they go with all the elderlings to the Red Ship Raiders, and like it's basically an epilogue where they're like, and that so Verity destroyed the Red Ship Raiders.
Yeah, that's
And
it. And
they
they
were not
killed the evil king or
Guy.
whatever.
And turns out they had gotten their hands on some of that obsidian black skill stones, and that's how they were draining people to become forged, because they were doing to people what Verity was doing to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I wish I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. That's not really what it is, though. I think like the way that it's described is like, so how though? Because
Yeah.
when Verity was like all fucked up, I was like, oh my god, he like forged himself, but he's still like there. So like, is it just if you do it enough, but then don't give it like the
Or if you do it
catharsis of
or, like,
becoming the
literally
dragon?
everything, yeah,
Yeah,
I
you're
think they were
just
just
nothing.
putting them into the stone. They're putting people into the stone for like no reason. And wasn't it like one wizard guy who was like on
You're
these
trying to make
island
a dragon.
tribes? Yeah,
But they just didn't know how.
yeah. And then all the dragons came and beat the shit out of him.
They do, and blow up all
Which
the
is like
ships.
also speaking about like the endings, like that is it's anticlimactic, but yeah, when you have like 40 dragons
It's
against
over.
like 10 guys in ships with swords, like what do you want? What else is gonna happen? They're gonna kill them. Like I don't know what
Yeah.
else you want.
It does make me wonder. I'm like, obviously, there's like there's some sort of, it must be this white ship. Like,
Yeah.
there is some sort of like evil thing lurking behind the scenes
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like having 40 dragons is not gonna solve. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's not 16 books, and every single time there's a problem, Fitz is like, I've been here before. I know what to do. It's pretty foolproof.
Well, and then the reason I think they were all sleeping is like, they need massive quantities of like blood off. Well, it's not even blood. It's like
Power.
it's
like
like
life power.
life and memories and stuff. Oh, because in the previous section when Fitz was like having the visions of the city, when he sees an elderling, like the elderling comes and like there's this big like dish at the center of town
Yeah.
that he like drinks memories from or something that everyone like offers.
Just chill, normal,
And,
cool
yeah.
guy stuff.
But when they run out of stuff, like they go to this grove and like fall asleep, and you can't wake them up unless you have enough like
Yeah.
life to put into them, which is pretty cool.
But Fitz, I mean, in the epilogue, it's revealed that what he did to Regal, the end of Prince Regal, is that he skill imprinted on him to be the most loyal and fanatic supporter of Princess Ketchikan, Queen Ketchikan now.
It's fantastic.
And does Shade end up killing him in his sleep, or is it
it's
Night
Night
Eyes?
Eyes. I think it's
Yeah.
implied that's like he was ripped apart limb from limb
Which is
in his
awesome.
sleep. The way it's revealed is so great because then like a couple paragraphs before you're like, and then Ketchikan came back to Buckkeep, and then Regal came and groveled for forgiveness at her feet and said, "Take whatever you need. I'll do anything for the new dynasty." And you're like, "What the hell?" And then like right at the end of the book, it's like it's because I imprinted
I told him to.
my command to be loyal to Ketchikan against all else for the rest of his life.
And Fitz moves into it's in the area with the dragons. It's like a
house,
a hut or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Starling comes and visits, and one day she shows up with a little boy. And she's like, "Yeah, I found this little boy. Do you want
Do you need help around with chores and stuff?"
And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And so that's why Fitz has that weird little boy in the first. I think the ending of the first book, it's revealed like
that's
he's
to
hanging out
help
with a
him
little boy.
write his memoirs.
Yeah, and the Fool is there too. He's hanging out with the Fool, and wait, no, he's not. Night Eyes is there.
Yeah,
but
I think
the Fool is
gone off.
He's back.
Else.
He's like flying on the dragon doing quests and whatever.
Yeah. Which may be the next. I think Tawny Man. I wonder if that's like just the Fool. I think the Fool's buff by himself for a while, maybe.
I know the Fitz returns in the Tawny Man.
Okay, great.
But I don't know how. It's not called Fitz and the Fool. It is called the Tawny Man. So I would imagine it is mostly about.
Well, I think because the Fool becomes a Tawny Man. Like he was translucent.
So.
I think in this book he becomes.
He does. He stops. He becomes
yellow.
more real. Like he's like. There's like more to him on this plane.
He's like yellow eyes or something.
I think so.
Crazy.
But Fitz retires. Only I think Chade, Ketchikan, and Starling visit him at like various.
I don't know if Ketchikan visits him.
Or Chade and Starling do.
Yeah.
And just to check up on him, they give him like maps. He likes to write.
And he's earned some little R&R by now.
He has. But he's like 25. Like, oh my god!
I know.
You're retired.
Even I think he's like 20 when the last book ends. Like he's not.
Yeah.
He's not.
But like
very
years
old.
pass.
Yeah.
Years pass. And so that's the ending.
That's the end.
Everybody's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, none of the. I didn't think about this
Verity,
at the time.
I mean, Verity's alive.
Well,
but he's trapped in a dragon.
None of the characters. Oh, King Wisdom also like comes back to fuck shit up too as the dragon.
Oh yeah.
And I think
it's like
I
I'm
think
King Wisdom.
Yeah, I think he
Thanks
literally
for
like
waking me
there's a
up.
moment where he talks to Fitz and is like, "Hey, shouts out, you did the right thing."
Oh, and that's like the image on the map of the Elderling is King Wisdom. Like they learned because he went, and because the legend was he went to go find the Elderlings to get help, but really what he did is he went with his coterie to like become an Elderling.
I feel like you'd write that down. I know, like, I'm sure they destroyed it or whatever, but like, and there's the moment where they keep using the example. It keeps happening where they're like, "Well, you're not writing down what a horse is. Like, you just know." And it's like, but we do write down what a horse is. Like, you would write down.
Here's another thing. I think the only people who know what Elderlings are the people who go into the Elderlings, and then once you're an Elderling, you don't care about writing stuff down. Like, it's just the coterie
that's
people.
A good point.
Like
That's a good point.
I think Fitz and all the other people are the first. Like, if you're a Joe Schmo, you're like, my prince left on a quest, and then a year later, all the dragons in the universe come and save the day. You're like, oh, I guess he must have found them. And,
right, I guess that's true. Yeah.
You don't really know what's happening.
But they would see the dragons and be like, he went to go get the Elderlings. That must be what that is the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what they think King Wisdom did. Like, he went to get the Elderlings came. Oh, King Wisdom was successful. But they never...
Right, but you would write down that they're big dragons. And, like, you have to go to the north and find big dragons. So as soon as you know that, you're like, okay.
Oh, but some of them are, like, weird boars.
Oh, that's true.
Like,
or a weird
people,
man.
So they're, like, weird, yeah.
I'm just being pedantic. I don't really think that's anything wrong with the book.
Plot hole cinema sins counter. Ding!
I mean, that's it.
Yeah, so that's the book.
That's the book.
Mac, how do you feel about it?
I think it's great. I think
too.
it's awesome. It's insane that people really hate it.
I know, it's crazy. I don't really know how.
No, I don't know.
I almost grasp it on an intellectual level, but like I also wasn't, like I was saying before, I don't know if I said this last episode or this episode, like I don't read books with like, here's what I want to happen, and then like have emotions based on whether that happens or not. Like I just like this is a story that is unfolding.
Yeah.
And I will experience
I'm just here to see the story.
Yeah. Which that feels like what this is. Like you don't get the final showdown with the Red Ship Raiders because Fitz isn't there because he doesn't go on the dragon. Like that's not his fight. Like Verity's quest was, I'm going to go stop the Red Ship Raiders. And he went and built a dragon, and then he gets to stop the Red Ship Raiders. Fitz was never like, I shall be the one destined to stop the Red Ship Raiders. He just had to go find Verity.
And I think there is, obviously, this series will end with some big battle or something. Big confrontation. I would imagine. But
who's the real big bad? If it's not the Red Ship Raiders. I know we talked about, that's like the white ship that comes in the last book and is never mentioned again.
I would think that's what it is.
Yeah. No, I think Robin Hobb's just a bad writer.
Who doesn't plan anything.
Just forgot.
Yeah, that must be it.
What about, we talk about the trilogy as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, it's all-timer for me.
Yep. Same. It's like, it delivers how I think we felt the first book felt, where, like, it feels like classic fantasy and, like, stereotypical, but, like, you can't pinpoint any specific thing that, like, is that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you think, like, Assassin's Apprentice, he has all these superpowers, but it's, like, all subverted. I know now we live in a poisoned media environment where, like, subverting expectations is,
it's, like, the cool thing
whole...
Yeah, it's, like,
or,
its
like,
subgenre
it was
thing.
the cool thing to do, and now everyone makes fun of it, and also now it's, like, hacky because people do things just to subvert expectations, which I think is not what this series is doing. Like, I think it also has, like, you know, a point. Like, I think specifically for me, like, the skill as, like, a metaphor for, like, the cost of human relationships, you know?
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, you sort of merge yourself with someone and, like, you lose part of yourself, but you gain something, but also you can lose yourself.
Yeah.
And also that's, like, a weakness. And then, like, Verity's sacrifice of, like, I don't get to be a person no more for, like, the good of my kingdom and the other people. But, like, the other people want him around, but also, like, the sacrifice is necessary. And so I think it's all very interesting. It's not just
it's awesome.
Magic powers because we need to have magic powers, you know?
I don't know, Danilo. I'm really excited about these 1-star Goodreads reviews.
There aren't any. I couldn't find any, like, really funny ones. They all
but I'm just interested in what people are saying. Like, I don't know what anybody thinks about this book. Really,
one or two to read. I found some, like, short ones, but, like, a lot of them tend to be very long about specific problems that people had with the book. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of ones that were like, I loved Assassin's Apprentice. I liked Royal Assassin, but I just couldn't finish this book. I gave up, like, 80% of the way. Or, like, halfway through this book, I finished. There were a lot of DNFs in the 1-star for this book, which I think is insane. Who have read the other 2 books.
Yeah, you got to finish it, man.
I also don't know what about this book particular would be like, I'm done.
No, I'm out. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not... Tonally, it's like this. It's not any different.
Right. It's if anything, more happens in this one. Like, it seems... I don't know if I'm just crazy for pacing, but it seemed like the beginning was like you have the quest, and then, like, you have the next quest, the Mountain Kingdom, and then, like, they keep finding stuff to do, and it's...
Yeah, there's always forward
like
momentum.
Interesting, like, how is he going to get to the next part? Like, it's a quest. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So I made some bullet points of, like, general things people didn't like. I saw a lot of stuff about, they didn't like that everyone keeps failing. It's about, like, failure after failure.
Okay.
Which, like, I don't know what's a story. I don't know you want.
That's nothing. That's not a complaint.
They don't like that Fitz is whiny still. That's still a big thing. They don't like that how whiny Fitz is. Which
just at the beginning.
Yeah, but I also don't know, like, he was whining in the first book, so, like,
but he was, like,
that's kind of the whole series. But also bad stuff happens to him. I feel like he can whine when...
Yeah,
like,
he deserves...
when, like, his aunt and his, like, best friend try to steal his baby.
I think so.
That's, like, I don't know, I think you get to complain.
Yeah.
At least you get to complain. They don't think Regal is a good villain because
That's crazy.
Because he's just like petulant and petty and power hungry. He's like, I would imagine it's like he's too basic, which I see as he's like too real. Like that's like
I think
like
it's very
shitty
real.
people like that. Hey, we live in the United States. We know that shitty people who don't deserve it, out of sheer pettiness, can get in positions of power and fuck shit up with bad decision making. So
yeah, and I don't need them to be like have compelling. I think he's
like be a dark
compelling.
wizard who like is in touch with the dark side. Like that's the.
I think he's super compelling, and his reason for doing what he's doing, I think, is super believable. Like the jealousy he feels, and the fact that he thinks that it was like ripped away from him, and his mom was like poisoning his mind with lies for his entire life. I think it's all good.
And I started reading Live Ship Traders, and like it's the villain, the antagonist in that book is also very much like, it's like real in like that's who that person is. They're not like, I'm evil and I do evil things. I'm going to take over the world. Like that's not.
It's not really Robin
like
Hobb's
grounded.
MO.
Yeah. People really don't like the final battle with the Red Ship Raiders happens like off the page in like one sentence in an epilogue.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious. To that I say, grow up.
Yeah.
Like, are you 10 years old? Like, go read.
Yeah, it doesn't need.
I don't know.
I've read so many books that don't end in a big battle. Like, I don't need that.
I like when books don't end in a big battle because I've read so many books that just end in a big battle, and I'm a little tired of reading big battles.
Yeah, me too.
Where like the guy wins. Like it's not every book has to end in a battle.
No, it's not.
Hey, I love a battle, but
yeah, it's not compelling by itself just because it is a battle. It doesn't need it.
I'm not reading a book being like, oh, I hope there's a sweet battle at the end.
No.
I think people wanted Molly and Fitz to work out even slightly.
Yeah, okay.
They don't like how problematic Molly and Burrick is because Burrick is old and Molly is like 17 or 18.
Sure.
Even though, I don't know.
I don't know if you're meant to be like...
Love is love, man. But also, it's like kind of fucked up, but also like, they get to have like happiness. I don't know. They both seem pretty
it's
happy.
not like... The relationship is not presented to the reader as like an intense sexual encounter. It's like actual like love between two people who need each other
and care about each other and like need solace. Yeah, it's like good for, they deserve a happy ending after all that they've been through too, you know. Again, I think if you have any serious issues with that, you're 5 years old. And also, like I said earlier, with Verity using Fitz's body, people are like, that's like sexual assault.
That's
like,
wild.
Brush over him. And I'm like, yeah, it's
is.
fucked up. But you're like, I don't know. Is this... They just kill a guy. They just stab a guy and they brush over it? I can't believe Verity almost chopped that guy's arm off. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. Like, you're like, I don't know, you're reading a book. What are you talking about?
The book is also written in the first-person perspective. So you get his feelings about the situation. So you can't be... there is no argument to be like, oh, he's brushing past it. It's like, no, that's how he's dealing with it in the moment. Like, that's not...
And also, like, it is fucked up. Like, how would you feel? Like, you didn't experience it, but, like, your body did, but you have, like, no memory of it. Like...
Yeah, I don't think it's
interesting
to
dwell on
that happened.
But also, they don't have time to dwell on it. Like, they have to, like, they have to get this shit done because there's a ticking clock here. So, I don't know. I had absolutely no problem with that. I thought that was, like, fucked up. Great plot point.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I have two specific reviews I think is very funny from Katya. I stopped reading this book. Fitz turns into a pathetic, whining little boy. What happened to this series? And I'm like, that's kind of the whole series. I don't know what you're talking about this specific.
Yeah.
This is the least whiny one, I feel.
Oh, for sure.
And from Kyle, I only have two. This is one of the worst fantasy books ever written. I don't know how people still read Robin Hobb after this disaster.
Jesus Christ.
I think calling this book a disaster is hilarious.
That's very funny. Like it is objectively not a disaster.
Right. Oh man.
Wow.
That's all I have.
Wow, that's good stuff.
But through researching this on Goodreads, I found Robin Hobb's Goodread page. And she has a little like note that I thought was incredibly based, and I would like to read it out loud.
Yeah, please.
I'm shocked to find that some people think a 2-star I liked it rating is a bad rating. What? I liked it. I liked it. That means I read the whole thing to the last page in spite of my life raining comments on me. It's a good book that survives the reading process with me. If a book is so-so, it ends up under the bed somewhere. Or maybe under a stinky judo bag in the back of the van. Her husband is a judo teacher, apparently, and that's why she has a judo bag. So a 2-star from me means yes, I like the book and I'd loan it to a friend and it went everywhere in my jacket pocket or purse until I finished it. A 3-star means that I've ignored friends to finish it and my sink is full of dirty dishes. A 4-star means I'm probably in trouble with my editor for missing a deadline because I was reading this book. But I want you to know, I don't finish books I don't like. There's too many good ones out there waiting to be found.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Based. I love it.
So you don't have to finish
2
books.
stars, still I liked it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This is a great series. I think there's stuff we missed or like emotional stuff we missed. I think if you listen to every plot point and everything, reading the books, if you haven't read them and you've listened to us talk about it, reading the books will probably be sort of like rereading them. I still think there's value. Like if this seems like up your alley, maybe give it a couple months, give it a shot. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about the Farseer trilogy, Mac?
I don't think so. I loved it. Robin Hobb, I love you.
Yep, we love you. You've the ending for this is very bold for your like debut trilogy. I think it's incredible. Yeah, she pulled it off.
Yeah, you're awesome, Robin.
Subversive ending. We love it. I, for one, will be reading the rest of the Realm of the Elderlings. I am more than halfway through the first Live Ship Traders book, and it is incredible.
Yeah, good.
Not sure that we'll be talking about it on this podcast, but Mac, do you want to announce what we will be talking about?
Yes.
For the next, God knows how long.
You can join us next time. Well, I'll do, send us an email at hardcoverhooligans@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at hardcoverhooligans. So you can be in the know. And you listening to this episode will know that our next albatross we will be tackling,
hanging around our necks,
is none other than the Stormlight Archive by Brando Sando.
Now, we have a complex relationship with the most best-selling fantasy author of the present day. Namely, as we started this podcast reading the Mistborn trilogy, which I thought was going to be a good idea, but then upon a reread, the scales fell from my eyes, and once I had to think about it for 2 seconds, I realized this might be garbage. It's maybe fun garbage, but we're going to read the thing that everyone says is better, which is the Stormlight Archive. I have read it before. The 5th book, Wind and Truth, has recently released, so we'll be reading that as well.
Yeah, we will. It'll be the newest book we've read for the podcast.
It hasn't sunk in fully that my eyeballs will have to
I think it's
read
crazy
all these
that
words.
I'm going to own that book by the end of this. That's insane to me. And then we get this out of the way so when they release the next one, we can just read it.
In 30 years or when he's like 70 years old. And he's donated $10 more million to I Hate Group.
No, he made a character gay. It's okay.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Well, everybody, that's it for us here, I think, at the Hardcover Hooligans podcast. If you find it within yourself that you want to read The Way of Kings with us,
God bless you. God,
you're
Brandon bless
person.
you.
Brandon bless you. Who's that guy in the Mistborn who becomes God?
Kelsier?
No, at the end. The dude, Sazed. Sazed bless you. Sazed bless you.
Sazed bless you and fix all your problems in the epilogue.
Yep, he will. Well, stay hard, everybody.
Bye, everyone.